Hello, everyone, and welcome to Belly Talk. This is Coach Cub, or my non-bear branded name is John Fisher. I'm a board certified health and wellness coach who's been working with folks in the community, doing one-on-one coaching and running classes and retreats for the last decade. And if you're new to this podcast, welcome. It's great to meet you. I co-host this with my friend Johnny Bear, who is a licensed social worker, a trained chef, a multi-trauma survivor, and someone who's been a part of the Belly Club and the classes that we've been running for the last 5 years. So I hope you enjoy, but I'm coming to you with this new intro because we have a special guest with us today. We have Tom Goss, the musician and joyful soul who creates fun music videos and music for the bear world and beyond. And speaking of beyond, he's gone above and beyond because you'll hear very shortly that I asked him for a special request, and we now have a brand new intro song and a fun little ditty for you all to enjoy. So I'll leave it at that. I hope you enjoyed the episode. If you want to learn more about what we're doing, just go to coachcub.com or join our Facebook group, The Belly Club, at facebook.com/groups/The Belly Club. And we hope to see you online or in person very soon. But I hope you enjoy this episode. And I'll see you on the other side.
Sure. Yeah.
And this is such a random question, and like you could obviously not respond or just decline, but like, would you ever do something where you like gave us a little ditty for the podcast so that we can like
Yeah.
have you an
You
intro
want me to
and then we
write
can
your
like
theme song?
yeah, that would be fucking dope.
Belly talk, we talk about our bellies, we talk about our family, we talk about bears. Belly talk, now cozy up and listen, we got a warm rendition of loving and care. Belly talk, we love a belly. Belly talk, we love a belly. Belly talk.
Well, I'm so excited to have someone on the podcast who I've been talking to for a long time, who's a talented singer-songwriter out in LA. So we have Tom Goss with us on the podcast. Tom, welcome to Belly
Hey,
Talk.
thanks.
Hey, Tom.
Hey.
It's so good to have you. I was just saying I feel like we've been orbiting each other for like a decade, but I've never actually met you in person. So
I
this
mean,
is our
this world
first.
is real. This world gets real small real quick, you know?
I know, yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
It's like you go to Bear High School, like we just miss each other in class or
Yeah,
something.
Bear High School is like P-Town from 2012 to 2016, you
Yeah, yeah.
know?
What class are you in?
Yeah, exactly.
But yeah, I know that you've like, I mean, there's so much for us to talk through. But I've seen your music, and you've obviously been like a prominent singer-songwriter in general, but also like specific for the bear community. So,
Hmm.
we figured we'd talk a little bit about what got you here. There's also some topics like soccer that I definitely want to talk about because I
Okay,
don't
great.
get to talk about it with many other gay men.
I talked about sports. I had this session come in last night. My friend Julian, he's amazing, and we talked about sports for like the first 20 minutes, and I just get so happy. I have nobody that I can talk about sports with, and it's great. I love it.
I know. Well, fuck it. We're gonna go on it right away. Soccer. Like, did you
Yeah,
play growing up?
yeah. So I played. It's funny. I was thinking yesterday. I've played soccer probably longer than I've done anything because I was 5 when I started. So it's almost been 40 years that I've been playing soccer. I love it. I had a game Sunday. I play usually once a week, but sometimes twice a week. But I can't. I used to do 2, 3 times a week, but my body can't do it anymore. I could do twice a week like half the year, but I have to take that second season off every other season. It's just too much.
I don't even know how you do that because, like, I have done a few seasons in New York and then had to take like 5 years off because, like, it's just my body
Yeah.
can't handle it.
The thing about it is it really is my favorite thing in the world, maybe. Just playing, like playing in general. I really am a playful person, and I hate that we grow up and then we think playing is going to a bar. like for me, that's not playing at all. And I don't like bars and I don't drink, and I have all these triggers around alcohol from having all these alcoholic people in my family. And and I just want to go play soccer. I mean, can we get a game of freeze tag going? Like, I'm not even joking. I
Yeah,
would
yeah.
love to go to the park and just play freeze tag or ultimate frisbee. Or like, honestly, any game is really my jam. And so I do like game nights, which are kind of the closest you get. But I'm a very physical
Same.
person. So yeah, it's been almost 40 years, and I told myself in my 30s that my knees were really hurting. I wrestled through college, and it's not really great on your knees, and they were really hurting. And I just said, just Tom, just like, I know you're gonna hurt your knees playing soccer, but also it brings you so much joy. Do it until you can't. And
Yeah.
and then over time, I've learned to like how to strengthen them and how to alleviate pain. You get smarter when you're young. You're just like balls to the wall all the time,
Yeah.
but you get smarter. So I really took that simple question and made it very, very long. But yeah, I've been playing for almost
No, I
40
love it.
years. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. I started playing when I was 8. And the funny thing, well, I was gonna ask you about like
Yeah.
what it was like playing soccer, and then obviously wrestling, is a whole different beast. But like growing up and like knowing you were gay, or I don't know if you were out when you're younger, like how did you
Yeah.
navigate those sports as a
I don't
gay
think I
man?
I don't think I really had that knowledge, and I do really think that my joy is centered around just like being physical and being outside and being with friends, and and my parents had a horrible relationship. I mean, they got divorced, and I don't really have a memory of them talking to each other because
Hmm.
still 30 something years later they still hate each other so much, and I think a couple things. I think first of all, it's like I'm not the kind of person that is this is ironic, but I'm not the kind of person where my sexuality ever was like at the forefront. So I wasn't really paying attention to it, maybe. I know that's kind of silly. Um and also I just love sports so much. I just love them so much. I grew up in a family of gymnasts, actually. So I was essentially born in the gym. My parents owned a gym when I was born. So
Wow.
um yeah, so I was like 3.5 hours a day at the gymnastics gym every single day since I was two, essentially. But I also played a ton of soccer, and played on like select teams,
Same.
in southeastern Wisconsin, and then, played on two baseball teams and played like auxiliary like basketball and football like a little bit, and then of course then wrestling kind of took over my life. But yeah, I just love it. Like if you ever like, how you're like, there's that one kid that you could always call that is going to be down to play whatever.
Yeah,
That's
yeah.
me. I will, if somebody called me to play soccer, I would just drop everything and be like, okay, let's go. Or baseball or football or anything. And and so for me, my sexuality wasn't really. I'm a like a little. I don't know if you know a bunch of wrestlers, or if you ever hung out with wrestlers, or if
In
you're
high
like from
school, I
in high
remember them
school.
just wearing like a lot of sweatpants and like sweating out their pounds and like spitting in cups to like make their weight. That's all I
So you're
remember.
just describing an insane person, right?
Yeah,
Like you're
yeah.
essentially just, and so there's like an insane obsession that comes with that sport, and there's a specific mindset that works really well with that, and I have that mindset. Like my ability to lock in and drive and drive and drive and never stop is something that's, it's really the reason that I have a music career too, because my first record came out almost 20 years ago. Like if you look at my body of work, even sometimes I look at my body of work and I'm like, girl, take a break. It's like it's a lot.
You're like
Um,
the Taylor Swift of the bear singer-songwriter
yeah, yeah.
community.
And so my point is like if you're locked on a thing, you're not really seeing the other things. And so I think that was part of my I think there were a couple things. I think it was my parents and me really being super hurt by that and not wanting to approach romantic relationships. I think it's my ability to hyper focus over long periods of time that really like put that at the far periphery of my purview. And then also, I mean, I'm attracted to bears, and I didn't know that you could do that. I didn't even know that was a thing. It didn't occur to me, you know? And so when I first when I first discovered it, because I fell in love, really is what happened, I was like, oh shit. Okay. And then you're like, you can hone your Google search. Like my algorithm was coming together, you know? But yeah, I was in college. I, I was in college. I was celibate. I didn't even masturbate, to be honest with you. I was like totally shut off that part of my life, and it
Mhm.
didn't make sense to me. I felt kind of like a robot in the world where everybody was driven by this thing, which didn't really appeal to me or connect with me at all. And I thought that everybody in the world was either lying about this thing or I just didn't have it. And that was also kind of fine with me. I was like, well, I like, wrestling and my friends and this other stuff, so I'll just do that because it wasn't like I was unhappy. I'm still happy, you know?
Yeah. It it's so funny because I like observing you in your Instagram for so long, I'm like, I feel like you and I are so similar. And what you're saying is like exactly more or less my life. Like my parents got divorced. I was obsessed about soccer and skateboarding and those types of things and friends and being that person who's just like
Yeah,
down to hang
yeah.
out. Like quality time is my love language.
What number are you in the childs?
I'm the middle out of three.
Yeah, me too.
There you
Keep
go.
going, keep going, keep going.
Johnny Bear has thoughts. I see things spinning in your head.
Well, I do think there's something about we're just happy whatever bullshit gets thrown in our face, and we're always just trying to make everybody around us happy because we're like the
Yeah.
mediaries. I think there's something to be said about that. Sorry, I think I did cut off Johnny, so I'm sorry.
Well, absolutely not. I'm enjoying watching the twins have a nice conversation here. Two bookends. Um, you did talk a little bit about joy before, and you talked about um, tapping into that playfulness and the seminary. And I wonder what led you to the seminary. Was it a calling? Do you continue to have a spiritual connection or belief system?
Yeah, no, it's an interesting question. I think if you would ask me when I was 22, of course I'd say I had a calling, right? I think if we're using, Catholic terminology, sure, I had a calling. I think for me, my my process was I had this broken family, and I was really super focused on working in reconciliation and interreligious dialogue and ecumenism, and that was really important to me, probably because of my broken family. I also didn't have an interest in being in a relationship. The thing that stops most people is celibacy, and I was already celibate. And like I said, when I the thing that they don't tell you, like nobody really explains celibacy to you. They're like celibacy, and I'm like, what does that mean? And if you start asking people in religious community, like everybody has a different answer, and you're like, hmm. So I was, at like 20, right? I'm 20 years old. I'm going to school on a wrestling scholarship. I'm like wrestling all day, and so I'm like young, and you think about a wrestler, you think like they're boisterous and they're this and they're that and they're out there fucking all the time. And for me, I was like, no. And then, then I just thought, like, I don't even know if I can masturbate. Oh, it's actually even crazier. Okay, so then I stopped masturbating. And then, of course, because I'm 20, right? Like, you can't get more virile. And then I started having, what, dreams all the time, which are awesome. Wet dreams are so fun.
I've never
And
had one to this date.
you got to stop masturbating.
Yeah.
Okay.
Stop ejaculating, and you will start, like, it's your body just having this reaction to whatever it
Mm,
is. So you've been too promiscuous to have wet dreams. No slut
apparently.
shaming,
So
just for that. So I
so
told
does
my, yeah,
so
sorry.
so is that, yeah, it does is that like the loophole to being celibate? You're like, well, I didn't do anything and
I
you
don't know, but I
ejaculated.
still don't know. I still don't know. So I started having wet dreams like almost nightly, right? Like almost nightly. And then I thought to myself, well, is this okay? Can I have wet dreams? Because wet dreams come with thoughts, right? Dreams come with images. Wet dreams come with a dream. And for me, the idea of celibacy, the thing that really attracted to me to the idea of celibacy was this idea that everybody that you meet has like an equal standing. Like you're approaching them in the same kind of respect, in the same kind of love, in the same kind of interest, in the same kind of curiosity. And the thing about sexual attraction is, like, let's be honest, when you see somebody you think is cute, you lean in. When you see somebody you don't think is cute, you don't lean in. And so you're approaching that relationship from the onset with an imbalance. And so the thing that I really appreciated about the idea of celibacy is that there's never an imbalance in your connection with another person. And your ability to go deep with anybody, kind of the playing field is level. So then, these thoughts were like, telling me, oh no, maybe that's not celibacy either. So then I told myself to stop having wet dreams. And I stopped having wet dreams. Well, not true. I stopped having the fun part of wet dreams. I stopped having the images or the ideas or that. I would just wake up with cum all over me. Like
Mm.
like not knowing where it came from. And that lasted until like frankly like to like a couple years ago, to be honest with you. Like I shut off wet dream imaging for like 20 years. Crazy.
But at that age, w- were you like, what were those thoughts? Like, what were you attracted to?
Yeah, that's a really interesting question. And part of me wonders if like I don't I think I don't recall, to be honest with you, but it wasn't like bears. It wasn't like, oh, you know, oh, look at that fireman. It wasn't that because don't think I even knew that existed. Of course, you're talking about the late 90s, early 2000s. So, what you have for porn is like a Hustler magazine or mostly Playboy magazines, which aren't featuring anybody but women anyway. But of course, you're 20, so like the idea of sex really is arousing you
Yeah.
more than anything. So, there wasn't like any dicks. But yeah, I will say, there was these websites. So when I went to college, it was 99. And you remember when you went to college and then all of a sudden you had fast internet? Like like when you were home, you had like dial up because it was the
Yeah, yeah.
90s
The
and it was like
AOL.
useless. It was like whatever. I might as well not do this. But then all of a sudden you went to college and you were like in this T1 or whatever it was called and it was just like Zoom and you were like holy shit, the internet, right? And there were a couple websites. There was one called bangedup.com and there was one called fugly.com, which was just like it was like the crazy side of the internet. It was just like I don't even want to describe things to you. They still haunt me to this day. Things that I watch and be like, what is this? But I do recall there was this one picture of people having sex. It wasn't even a video. It was like a hotel orgy, and they were all chubby. And I remember
Mm.
being really curious about that picture and being like, ah. And I remember, this is gonna sound weird, but I remember specifically thinking like, I wonder what it smells like in there. Like in thinking about that, and like looking at the picture and like exploring it. In retrospect, I probably was attracted to it, right? But I
Right.
didn't I didn't really think about it. Now that wasn't what was appearing in my dreams because that was like one picture, and then the other 10,000 images were women in my kind of sexual Rolodex. But yeah, I do recall that and finding that intriguing and not really understanding why.
I think, that's the natural gift of our sexuality. If we take away the shame and the conditioning of it, it's such a playground of
Mm,
exploration.
yeah.
And I think that's such a wonderful component to being human. But
Hmm.
yet we're so pulled away from it from so much that society has force fed us, and also religion
Yeah.
and so many other things. And I was reading, I was doing a little bit of background on you, and in 2018, you were asked a question, and I loved your answer. But the question was, would you rather be covered in cubs or bears? And your answer, which is amazing, I love both. For you, it's about the person. You love
Yeah.
people. Objectification is not your thing, which speaks volumes to the heart center of who you are as a human. Yet the bear community, our community, can be so cliquish and so full of objectification. And I'm wondering if you have any thoughts or comments for anybody that's listening that kind of feels isolated in our community and doesn't have that glorification that some other people do have.
You know, it's a really good question. And if I'm being really frank and really honest, I even feel isolated within our community. And I think and I know that's not true, and I know that's also not true, but I think we have become people that are so focused on the sexual desire and sexual drive that we dismiss the beauty of people that we meet every single
Mm.
day.
Yeah.
And for me, my goal in what I do in my music is to help people feel joy, to help people feel seen, and to help people feel loved. And I think if I'm being honest, that comes from a place of not feeling joyful, not feeling seen, and not feeling loved. And knowing that I never want to thrust that upon anybody else. And if I have the power to do the opposite, which I do, then use that power to do just that. So I think I think if you're not feeling seen and you're not feeling desired, I think you should. I was actually texting my friend about this yesterday. I think focus on the people that are seeing you and are desiring you. I
Mm.
think it's easy for us as humans, especially with the internet, to desire something that doesn't desire us, and that
Mhm.
really is important with that really is prevalent when it comes to human beings and when it comes to sexuality. I'm not saying you have to have sex with people you don't want to have sex with. I'm not saying that at all. I'm just saying there are people around you that love you and they're showing you love and they're showing you respect and they're trying to give you their time and their energy, and you're saying no to that because you were trying to impress this asshole in the corner, or you're trying to impress somebody on an app who won't write you back. I, it's not, don't beat your head against the wall. You have everything that you need in front of you. You just have to be open to it. I think that's what I would say. And I would say that to me too. When I'm like, oh, I want to go to this thing. I don't know who to text. Nobody likes me. Um, because yeah, I don't know. Because I'm a middle child.
Yeah.
So,
You and I just need to hang out. Like
yeah.
nobody I have needs, people. I swear.
But
Yeah, I'm curious.
my kick is always meet your own needs. That's me all the time now. That's my new thing.
Yeah.
Meet your own needs. Meet your own needs. If you meet your own needs, and I mean sometimes it's as simple as like eat a fucking snack. Like I get
Yeah,
really hungry and I just want to punch everybody in the face. Just like eat a
totally.
snack, then the day is gonna be better. Like yeah,
Oh yeah, I've had to work at that for so long to the point where like it's almost comedic, but like a few years ago I was like, if I need to use the bathroom, like actually just go use the bathroom. Because I would like hold it because I didn't want to interrupt people or leave them or it was wild. So I've
uh,
really had to work on that a lot. I'm curious because okay, do you have my permission to like comment on your body in general or like how you look?
you have permission. Look, I have a fucking thirst trap book. Like it's fine. You can say whatever you want.
Yeah,
Well, just like you have a smaller, thinner build for like someone in the bear community. Would you
Sure.
agree?
Yeah.
Yeah. And so I've gained some weight over the years, but like I've always had your figure.
Mm-hmm.
So when I first got into the bear community years ago, I was much thinner, and I had even people ask me like, "Why are you in this community? Like, why are you not with
Mm.
the Chelsea boys?" Or like, maybe people were kind of offended that I was a part of the spaces at times. So I was just
Hmm.
curious, like, what your experience has been from like when you entered the bear community, and then, what was it like then, and has it changed in terms of people accepting you, or how do you feel as being a part of the community?
Well, it's an interesting question. I mean, I think I'd like to answer the question and then like to speak to my experience. So yeah, I'm gonna answer it twice. But I think for me, I don't really focus on people that don't like me that much. The truth of the matter is that every single time I play a show, 7 billion people decided not to come. Like that's the way that I think about it. It's just like I used to get upset about people that didn't come to shows or that people that didn't show up for me, and I just found it to be such a waste of my energy. Um, it goes back to what I just said, like focus on the people that are loving you, and that's it. It's also why I don't like overly focus on social media. I'm not overly concerned with the algorithm. I'm not trying to get a million followers because the people that I see with a million followers are just trying to please everybody, and nobody's investing in them anymore. So I would say that I always have been embraced by bears. I started touring when in 2006, really, nationally in 2008, and bears were always at my shows. I didn't even know the bear community existed, but there were always chubby guys in flannels wanting to watch like me with an acoustic guitar because of course, like that makes sense. Um, and then Mike would come to my shows sometimes, or Mike would meet me out on the tour sometimes, and then people I think were like, "Oh, and he likes bears." It wasn't the forefront of what I did, but I was really a central part of it. It really was a central part of my community because bears were always supporting me. And then there was this huge thing that was happening in DC. Like the bear community was just huge when I was there. And there was a huge thing that was Bear Happy Hour. It was 1,500 bears every single Friday. It was insane. And I just became a really, really, just like became my community. And I became good friends with the organizers. And then I was performing at Bear Happy Hour. And I was like, oh, it'd be really funny if there was a song, this song for bears. I could play the song for bears. And then I wrote bears in like 20 minutes. I was like, oh, this will be so fun. This will be so funny. And people went ape shit. And then I thought to myself, like, oh, this doesn't really exist for this community. People aren't showing this community love. This community has been loving me. And of course, I've been writing love songs, and now they're realizing that it's about a bear, and they like that. But it's like kind of hidden. It's kind of wink, wink, you know. Um, but people weren't really going out and saying like, I like that. That is beautiful. That is what I want. And so then that became my goal. It was 2013. So I must have written that song in 2012. I played it at Bear Happy Hour, and then I played it. And then I think the next day there was an event at Easton Mountain, like a day or two later, and it was like I can't remember. They tried to have like a folk festival for a while, and I'm pretty sure
Oh,
it was the folk
right.
festival. And I played it up there. And again, and it wasn't bears. And people went ape shit. And I was like, oh, this is something. And I called my friend Rich Morale, who was one half of this big dance party called Blow Off at the time. It was Rich Morale and oh my God, this isn't embarrassing. Um, he was the front man for Husker Du and Sugar. Oh my God, this is so embarrassing. Anyways, whatever. He's super famous and I forgot his name. Um, but they were both in DC, and we would just go to these big, amazing dance parties, and I was really into the music they were making. And I called Rich Morale and I said, hey, um, do you want to work on this with me? And he was like, yeah. He lived down the road, and so he produced it, and it was like this banger. And then I had been making music videos with the team of people, and we made this video that immediately people were like, yes, finally someone's making something, someone's investing money and time and energy into it. And then, that was kind of my ticket into the bear community at large in that way. And I released it the week before Bear Week, and I'd never been to Bear Week, and I wasn't doing bear events, but I just would have like a dozen bears at my shows. And then that very much became more the focus of I guess my career in some ways, because I saw the need for it and the importance of it.
As a member of the bear community, I did hear your music and followed a little bit of your work, but then our team member Marcelo interviewed you. I think it was last summer.
Yeah, in Portugal.
And and then I got to know your personality a little. So I said, oh, let me look into this guy a little bit more, which I did. And then we heard that you were coming on here, and then I really did a deep dive. And I may get emotional, but I'm going to try not to. But I just want to thank you, because as a suicide attempt survivor, when you created Son of a Preacher Man and the other advocacy work that you've done, like when you created the video in 2010 for Lover in honor of the Don't Ask, Don't Tell. And 2016, you created The Silent Majority. I was so moved by not just your artistry, but by your humanity and the advocacy, I call it. But as we step into this new political world, do you see that impacting your future music or the way you want to communicate?
Yeah, it's an interesting question. So I'm always going to be writing stories that other people aren't writing. That's really what's interesting to me. I'm not interested in telling a story that other people are telling, frankly, often better than me. I'm interested in telling the stories of the people that are marginalized, or people whose stories haven't been heard before. And so that's why you'll see it in my work all the time. I also have grown to understand my power as a conduit for joy and happiness. And I will always write music that has a deeper meaning. And I will always write music that challenges the status quo. But I think for me, where I'm finding the most power is in creating stuff that's very joyful, and creating stuff that's joyful in the midst of sadness and oppression and fear. I think the reason that Bears did so well is that I was just having fun, and people really want the opportunity to have fun and love what they love. And so the answer is a little twofold. Like, the answer is like, no, I'm not going to be like sad and morose in my fear and in my oppression. I guess that's a little too heavy of a word, I think, but I will say that I understand that the joy of my existence is the most subversive thing that I can do. Yeah. Like, there's a track on my last record called Literally, and the whole track is like, you literally can't stop me. Like, there's nothing that you could throw my way. And I feel so, and I'm not saying this with arrogance, I feel so grateful to have gotten to this age, because there has been so much bullshit and so many trials and so many tribulations. There's so many things that may have stopped me or could have stopped me or may have stopped another person, but I just know like it doesn't matter. There's nothing that this world can thrust upon me that will sap me from who I am. And who I am at my core is a joyful, happy person that wants other people to feel joyful and happy.
You're like, for the next 4 years, we're playing fucking freeze tag every day.
Fuck yes. And if somebody, truthfully, if somebody is like, "Are you a fag?" and I'm like, "Yeah," and then I get beat up, then okay. Like it is what it is. That's how I feel at this point in time. I've essentially lost the relationship that I have with my family as a result of Trump. And so I've already spent 10 years mourning that and being hurt by that. And it's really fucking painful. But what can I do to change it? If my existing in look, I'm just gonna say I really appreciate you guys saying nice things about me. It's so nice. I appreciate it. But I'm saying, like, if I could be this really nice, generous, loving person, heart-centered person who's trying to like help and uplift other people, and they still hate me, then what else can I do? That's it
Yeah,
is
it's
what
like
it is.
there was this saying that was like, or like a meme type thing. It was like, at the end of the day, Pete Buttigieg is a faggot. It's like you can have
100%.
somebody who is like so smart, so much experience, religious, married, kids. The way people are gonna look at him is just he's another faggot.
He's a faggot.
So be yourself, yeah. Which
I'm a
I
faggot. I love it.
Oh,
me
oh, me
too.
too. Me too.
Oh, and by the way, before I forget to do this, I looked at it's Bob Mold. Can't believe Bob Mold was the other half of Sorry,
Right.
Rolf. That has nothing to do with what we're talking about, but I felt like if I didn't say it, I was like the universe was gonna be really mad at me.
Yeah. Glad you found it. Hello again. So we've now hosted over 7 Camp Bear Hug retreats in Portugal and in different parts of the United States. And had the honor of bringing in guests from all over the US, from Canada, and different parts of Europe and beyond. And we'd love for you to hear from them directly. So we asked a few what their favorite part of Camp Bear Hug is. This first share is from Michael Q, who is a massage therapist in New York City. He came to our retreat in Portugal in 2024 and offered his Thai massage on site and also participated in the retreat. So here are his brief words that he wanted to share with you.
I'm so grateful to have such an amazing experience with such like-minded guys and a small group, being able to touch and hold each other, have intimate conversation, all the things we actually really want in life.
Yeah, I mean, you just brought up Portugal, Johnny Bear. So, yeah, I'm curious. Well, actually, even before I talk about Portugal, such a basic question, but like, what does it feel like to be on stage just performing for people who are happy? Like, most people don't experience that.
Yeah, that question makes me want to cry. I don't know why. It's the best. The power that you have to make people feel. This is, I guess, answering the last question again in a different way, but like, I've understood that I have this power to make people feel. Period. End of story. I can go up there and I can perform and I can make you cry. I can go up there and I can perform and I can make you laugh. And I am choosing to use my power to make people feel joyful. I'm still gonna make you cry sometimes, 100%, because it's a ride, but it is like no other. It really is, and it's also very delicate. Like I take that responsibility very seriously. I know that I could make people feel any way because of my ability to tell stories and my ability to weave those into music and music's ability, which is way beyond me, to tap beyond people's walls, and yeah, it's magic, dude. It's super magic.
You create, such diversity in your catalog. You know, off the new album, you've got something a little popish like Cleopatra or Fall Before
Fall before you
Fly.
fly.
And then you have on the other spectrum, years ago, you had Breath and Sound with Matt Albert.
Hmm.
And those are so diverse, yet so magically creative, like you said. How do you, where does that creativity come from? I know you worked on the artist way before or with it, but what else do you do to tap into that creativity?
I think it really comes from boredom. Or no, I'm gonna take the other side of that coin. I think it really comes from curiosity.
Hmm.
Um, if you if you worked at an assembly line and you put the same piece in the same hole for 40 years, you would not like that. It would become boring. It would become tedious. It probably wouldn't fulfill you. And so when people create the same song over and over again, to me it feels like putting that piece in the hole over and over and over again. Could I? Yes. Do I? Yes. I have like 1,000 songs that aren't released, that are just like, "Ah, I said that already. I did that already. I made those moves already." But for me, it's really great to be curious and interested and explore a different path and explore a different sound. And that's really where it comes from for me. And that that comes visually too. Like when I'm making music videos, like what have I not done? What has not been explored? And I think, I collaborate a lot with my friend Michael Serrato on a lot of these music videos. He made Son of a Preacher Man. He made Breath and Sound, the ones that you've already kind of mentioned. And he's the same way. He's like so curious and interested and creative. And could I make the same thing over and over again? Yeah. Would it be fun? No. So again, my ultimate, I was in I was in philosophy class in college, and I remember this so vividly. That this lesson was like, I can't even remember who said it. Aristotle. I don't know. Someone will get mad at me for getting it wrong. But the only intrinsic motivation that we have as humans is joy and or happiness. And we were arguing about, is that true? Is that not true? Right? And I was just like, it's true. Like everything that we do, the ultimate goal of it is happiness. You want money? Why do you want money? You want money because you want security. Why do you want security? Because you want happiness, right? You want food? You want food because you're hungry. You're hungry, you're angry. You don't want to be angry, you want to be happy. It's like every single thing that you do. And so that really becomes my barometer for why I'm doing something. Why am I making this thing? Am I making it because I think it's going to go viral? Okay, well, people aren't stupid. They're gonna see that you're not enjoying this. It's gonna come through in the music. It's gonna come through in the video. Don't do it. Are you making it because every time you go to the studio or every time you go to the edit room, you are excited about it and it's making you laugh? Yes, do it. So that's really my barometer. That's really my North Star for how my artistry evolves and changes over the years.
Beautiful thing. I sometimes, when I listen to guest answers, I let it sink in a little bit. So there's a moment of really hearing, not just listening, but really hearing what you're saying. And I guess that speaks to, you have 9 studio albums. You've got the variety of calendars, you've got Thirst Trap 2, you've got tours for almost 2 decades. And you got this wonderful newish album. And
Yeah.
some of the
I have an
tracks
album
on,
done. It's just sitting there. I have another one done.
wow.
Yeah.
I
Sorry,
guess that,
sorry, I
no,
didn't mean to cut you off.
no, it's a wonderful conversation. It's a give and take, and I think that's the beauty of being an artist is it is that give and take and tapping into that creativity. And I recently read a book by Melissa Elizabeth Gilbert called Big Magic, and she talks about creativity as something that comes and goes, kind of like Tinkerbell. And I look at your body of work, and it's, I'm not going to blow you up again, but I'm just going to say that it it is a gift, not only for me, but for so many. And our community,
Mm.
having somebody to look to, um, with such diversity and such commitment to the craft. And you've crawled your way up from this little indie artist, and now you've got your studio, and you've got this body of work, and and you've got this fandom, and it's just growing, and you bring joy to people's lives, and it's appreciated. And I think our listeners are really going to be very thankful that you showed up to our audience. And I just want to hope that you continue the work.
That's amazing. That's such a compliment. I thank you so much. I love that. Thank you.
Yeah.
So shifting gears a little to because Johnny Bear just brought up Marcelo, who runs Camp Bear Hug with me,
Mm-hmm.
and I know that you ran into him at Bear Week, or Bear Pride Lisbon last year,
Yeah.
and we're actually doing a Camp Bear Hug experience like alongside Bear Week in Lisbon this year.
Yeah. Yeah.
So yeah, I just wanted to hear about like I know you emceed, like what was your experience being at Villa Trace and what
It's
happened? Who
amazing.
did you meet?
It's amazing. It's magical. Like everybody's so friendly. I really love small events, small pride, small community gatherings, kind of,
Mm.
because there's just so much love. And it really is kind of the thing that I was saying earlier is like you are enjoying the people that you are with. You are not focused on the people that aren't there. If the bigger the party gets, I don't know if you noticed this, the bigger the party gets, the more likely somebody's looking through you. And the
Yeah, yeah.
bigger the city gets, it's more likely that somebody's looking through you. The bigger the city gets or the pride gets, it's more likely that it's been segmented off into other groups that then won't interact with other groups. It's just like, oh my God, it drives me crazy. But I found Bear Pride Portugal to be a perfect size, a perfect setting. A, I mean, Portugal is like a perfect country, so beautiful, so amazing,
Mm.
and the guys who run the facility are just welcoming with open arms. Like, could not be sweeter, could not be
Yeah.
nicer, could not be more focused on making sure that you have the experience that you need and whatever that might be. And it could be, going to the dark rooms, or it could be hang out by the pool, or it could be taking a nap. It could be any of those things. So, yeah. When is it?
It's May, so I think we're gonna build
It's
like our
May.
retreat will be May 26th to June 1st.
Yeah, yeah, because I was thinking about showing up again, but I have to be back east. Ooh, okay. Yeah, you should go. Yeah, everybody, whoever's listening, you should go.
Yeah, yeah. I'm excited. And Denise, you met Denise. Denise also works on my
Yes,
team.
I
He
love
was he
Denise.
was he was Mr. Lisbon Bear Pride last like this past year. And
2023.
yeah, and I know Marcos and Fernando and Eddie, like the
Yeah.
owners of the hotel, really well, and I've stayed there. And when I'm in Portugal, I go there all the time. Um,
Why would you
so
not?
yeah, so I'm definitely we're gonna bring a group there. And we have like a house right near the hotel, so we'll like shuttle people to all the activities and stuff. But
Great.
one of these
And
times we'll actually connect when you're on the East Coast, because
Well, when are
usually when
you?
you're
When
here,
are
I'm in
you?
Portugal.
I'm back in New York in late June. Are you back in New York?
Yeah, I might. So I'm doing after Lisbon Beer Pride, we're gonna do the Euro Pride is in Lisbon this year
Mm,
in but it's mid-June, so I'll be around outside of that.
great. Yeah, because I have some prides here in June, so I'm gonna be in Barcelona actually until probably May 25th to when I'm going. So I was like, that's why I was like, I can hop, then
Ah,
hop,
yeah.
but yeah, yeah.
So yeah, what is it like for you to like now be able to like go? I know you're at Easton Mountain, which I've done facilitating at, and you go to Bear Weeks. It's like you get to have all these different experiences that maybe other musicians wouldn't have because you're tapped into the bear world.
I mean, you're asking me, what is it like to go to a place where people love you and embrace you? It's like, it's
You're
amazing.
what a martyr.
Yeah. It's so hard, you know. No, it's wonderful. And I think, the bear community is really, especially these places in which you're speaking about, like Eastern Mountain or or Bear Trace, is that how we say it?
Uh, so it's bar trace and
Bar Trace
villa
and
trace, yeah.
Village Trace. That's right. Sorry, Bar Trace and Village Trace. It's like they have spent decades like honing community and honing connections, and I've spent decades honing community and honing connections. And when those intersect, it's just amazing. So I really super love my life. It's really great. It's really awesome.
Speaking of loving your life, if you don't mind, uh, for the audience sake, you've been married for 14 years, dating for 19 years. Any pearls of wisdom for our
Hmm.
couples or single audience members? How to keep that flame going?
Yeah, so we've been married for 14 years, we've been together for 19. This is our 20th year together. It's
Mm.
crazy. Like, what are my words of wisdom? I would say, there's this thing that I heard once or read once, I can't remember, about like the regeneration of the cells in our bodies. And that every single 7 years, every cell in our body has regenerated. There's not a single cell in our body now that existed 8 years ago, which means we're literally different people. Every single iota of our body is a different person. Even like the memories and thoughts in our brains are made up of different cells than if I had a memory when I was 10 years old. I'm 43. That was almost 5 people ago, like literally 5 people ago. And and I think about that sometimes because Mike and I have been together almost 20 years, and that means we have been three different people, wholly and completely three different people. And so, all I can say, the only advice I can give is like, there is, there is no, there is no mountaintop. There is no you stop learning. There is no you stop growing. There is no you stop communicating. There is no you stop understanding who this person is because they don't even know who they are anymore. Like
Yeah.
they're changing too. And so that's all I would say. Like continue to learn and continue to grow and to be open to the idea that your relationship is going to change in wildly different ways.
Yeah. I'm like a few years behind you and everything. Like I've been with my husband, it'll be 15 years
Mm.
this June, and we've been married for like 7 or 8. And right before this call, I did an hour and a half couples therapy session with him.
That's a long
Because
one.
yeah, because we're going away soon. And it's just like, yeah, it's never I love that you said there's no mountaintop. There's no like, okay, I
Hmm.
reached this peak and now it's smooth sailing. It's you're constantly working on yourself and the relationship. It's work.
So do you do couples therapy before you separate to like, is that what you're saying? Because you're going to be away for a while?
Um, yeah, I mean, we hit a rough patch. Actually, it's funny you said the 7 years because like, we hit that like 7 year itch, rough patch a few years ago, like a handful of years ago, and we started going to couples therapy then, and that helped us navigate our relationship and stay together. And then we both do individual therapy, and now it's just kind of as needed. We'll come together with our therapist, and we're going to Argentina for a month together in like a few days. So it's kind of just like, okay, how are we going to
Ah,
navigate certain
cool.
scenarios? What anxieties do we
Yeah.
have? All that type of stuff. And also, yeah, when I go to Portugal too for like 2 or 3 months, we'll meet to talk about how we're going to navigate it. Because everything changes. Like you said, it's like
Yeah.
last year we may have a certain set of rules or be driving a certain way. Now this year comes along, we need to check up on things and revisit rules and how we're gonna
I love
approach.
that. I think that
things.
like
Yeah.
so much of how I want to live my life is like with intentionality, and it had never occurred to me to like have a therapy session to like create the intention of what this thing is going to be before it is. Oh, that's such a good idea. Thank you.
Yeah, yeah. It definitely helps. Cool. Well, I know we're starting to wind down. Johnny Bear, did you have any other questions you wanted to ask before we go into our like canned questions?
Uh, just touching on the latest album, remember what it feels. It's such a mixture and it's a wonderful balance. I gotta tell you, I really dig the roller coaster, from um, Not My Problem, which the
Mm,
video was amazing.
thank you.
Talk about creativity. And then, going to Something Beautiful, which had me weeping. And then, to the empowerment anthem of Enemy of Good, perfect is the enemy of good, which is such an amazing line. And is there anything you'd like to speak to on that album that really?
It's an interesting question. It's like, you know, I people love that video. That video is like kind of true to form. My
Mm,
2019 Territories record, I was dating this guy and he wasn't really real and then he went to jail. And so it's kind of crazy. And so, when people think it's like this funny, kooky thing, but everything comes from real life. And I think for me, similar to what I'm saying, and it really colored my life, I guess, more than I realized now that I'm talking to you years later about it, is like remember what everything feels like, the good and the bad, but it doesn't have to define you. That's really what that record is about. So
mhm,
you can have somebody who gaslights you for 5 years, who steals from you, who cheats on you, who does any of these things. You can lose your business, you can lose your family, you can lose your country, you can lose your health, you can lose all of these things. And that record is made in the tumultuousness of all of that, and choosing to not let that consume me. And I think that's what I really love about that record. That record is so positive and so
mhm.
uplifting. And if you like pull each piece apart, like what's going on during this, you're like, oh shit, okay,
Yeah.
and you're like, look, remember what it feels like. Remember the good, remember the bad, remember that is not you unless you want it to be. And that's
Mm.
it. And that's I love that record. I think that record's such a fun ride, and I'm glad that you appreciate it as well.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's me again. So this next Camp Bear Hug camper is Dan P, and he's now been to three Bear Hug experiences, one wine retreat in northern Portugal. He came to the New Orleans food tour with Chef John Harrison, and then he just attended our wellness retreat in upstate New York. So here's what he says are his favorite parts about camp.
What I most appreciate about Camp Bear Hug is the way in which a group of men, many who have never met before, can come together and in a few days create a chosen family, an environment of love, acceptance, and encouragement.
Wonderful. So, yeah, I feel like we could talk for so much longer, and we definitely need to meet up and like play soccer and
Yeah,
play
great.
tag and stuff. It's gonna happen.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah. So we always ask a handful of questions to every guest.
Okay.
The first one is about community. And I love that you talked about Villa Trace and those guys, and Easton definitely just building a sense of community. And I love Freddie and Jay. But what does community mean to you?
I mean, my head is screaming to say family. That's what it's screaming me to say. I have like a also like a lot of guilt saying that out loud. Um, but that's what it feels like to me. It feels like a place where people love you and people embrace you, and you can come to with whatever you need. That's what it feels like to me.
Beautiful. Another fun little question we have is with, say you woke up and we said, hey, we're going to give you unlimited resources and we're going to ask you to create a billboard for globally for all the world to see. And you could put any message on there. What would you want to tell the world?
You know, it's funny because you think about this thing a lot, you know, when the lottery's at like 2.1 billion, you're like, okay, I'll buy a ticket, you know? And you're like, and then you spend a week thinking about what you do with it. Frankly, I wouldn't make a billboard. I don't think that I am, I have a high enough opinion about any of my wisdom that I think it's important enough for the world to hear. I also, sorry, I also feel like it's a huge waste of resources. So, so I would not make a billboard at all. If I was like, if I had to make the billboard, okay, if it had to be a
I
billboard,
was gonna say, interview's over.
okay, I'm going to skirt around this question, right? Because the cool thing about billboards, billboards are like a big thing in LA. Like there's so many billboards and they're so cool. And you realize they can kind of be anything. So I would make a billboard that was like, remember when you had a hamster and you were a kid and they have that little device that they got water out of,
Yeah.
Yeah.
and that you like, I love
Like,
John's face is like, what the fuck is it? What the fuck is going on? And I would make a billboard that was full of things that people needed, right? And they would hit the thing, the little ball that makes the water come out, and what they needed would come out. And I think, you know, that would be like, that could be water, that could be medicine, that could be money, that could be all sorts of things. So that's the billboard I would create. I would fill the billboard with things and then give it some kind of distribution so that people could have more of what they needed.
genius.
I know that didn't answer the question.
No, it's beautiful. It's one of the more original questions, answers, I mean. And hey, it's your billboard, your
Thank you.
resources,
Thank
and we
you.
appreciate that.
I know. It's like we say unlimited resources and not everyone takes that seriously. You're like, no, really, we could just, if we have unlimited resources, we can put medicine and money and
Yeah,
whatever we want.
yeah.
But would the device, like the dispenser, be that like metal thing that the
I mean,
Yeah.
you don't want people
the
licking it,
hamster?
right? You probably don't want people licking it, but you look, this isn't completely fleshed out.
I'm like, because we're talking to our designers later. I just need to know
Yeah,
the
yeah.
specs.
If this is a real thing, yeah, I would love to meet with the designers too. Yeah, but I mean, if you think about it, like if you're in like you know, Africa or lots of places, India, like they just need clean water. Like, they just need clean water, and so that would be a great opportunity to distribute that. Now, of course, I'm also thinking like, well, are you gonna put all these in plastic bottles? Like it's like everything has its own problem along with it. So, but let's not dig into this too much.
Yeah.
Let's not
It's
find the flaws yet.
Yeah.
it's like they did the that portal in New York City that like it was like New York City in a screen and then like the same thing I think in Dublin in a screen, so you'd like they could see you and you
Yeah.
could see them, but then they had to shut it down because people were just showing their genitalia.
Yeah,
So
I
it's
remember
like
that. Yeah.
people can find flaws and everything and like
Yeah.
destroy everything.
Yeah.
That's so funny. All right, final question. Because this, we call this Belly Talk, and our Facebook community is called the Belly Club, which I don't know if you're in it, but you should join because it is that sense of
No.
community that you talked about earlier that like really lit me up. The idea of, people are beyond just their physical appearance, and if you're attracted to them, it's like you may, I don't know. What am I trying to say? You said it better. But basically, it's like everything, a lot of the things is sexualized in our community, and a lot of it is about physical looks. And if you're only seeing the world through that lens, you're missing out on what people who really are. And we're trying to create a community where it really is about deep connections and not just, people posting photos of themselves for likes. And so
Yeah,
anyway,
what's it called?
it's facebook.com/groups/ the belly club. So it's the belly club.
Yeah, the interesting thing about that is like I can super be like attracted to anything, like any type of body shape, But it's just like, and then the hottest people sometimes, the Belly Club, Body Positive Wellness.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, I'm there. Like, I'm just like, oh God, your personality is so ugly. I can't do
Yeah,
it.
yeah. I'm definitely attracted more to personality and energy. But
Yeah.
anyway, that was a long road to get to the fact that a lot of what we do is called belly. So belly talk, belly club. When you hear the word belly or you see it, what comes up in you or for you?
It's so funny. I just think of something fun and joyful. And but it's funny when I hopped on today, I never connected belly talk to that Seinfeld episode where the belly's talking. Do you know which one I'm talking about?
No, and I was a huge Seinfeld fan growing up. So I'm
There's an
like,
episode where Jerry's dating this girl. In his head, her belly's talking through her belly button. It's like,
yeah, yeah, yeah. And they
hello.
do that voice. Yeah, yeah. And she's like, you can't do that voice anymore.
Yeah, and he had to pick between her and the
Yeah,
voice, right?
yeah. I just
But
watched that again.
yeah, and I never occurred to me like, oh, that's literally belly talk, right? But the funny thing about that is that's how I feel. Like that sound that Jerry's making.
Hello, Jerry. Yeah.
Yeah, that's like fun and jovial and like just like that's when I hear belly, that's what I think. Something like that.
Fantastic.
That's
That's
great.
so funny. And I hadn't watched Seinfeld in so long, but I just watched an episode and it was that one.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I watched it in Portugal. But anyway, we really appreciate your time. And if you want to be built up all the time, you should just get on Johnny Bear's text
Oh
list.
my God. Yeah, this sounds
He'll
great.
send the nicest things to you all the time. He'll send me long things where I'm like, oh my God, can you just be my dad?
Great.
Um, so yeah, we very much appreciate you and your art and your energy and for being, vulnerable and real today. Like I love the times you're like, fuck it, I'm just gonna say what I'm thinking, and that's what this
Yeah.
podcast is all about. So we appreciate your time and um I hope to connect with you very soon. But where can everyone find like your music, your social media? Like where should people go to follow you?
Yeah, I'm Tom Goss Music everywhere. So I don't know where you social media these days because it's a shit show. It's a hellfire shit show
Yeah,
wherever
yeah.
you're going. But yeah, it's Tom Goss Music everywhere. And if you're listening to music on Apple Music or Spotify or something like that, then just search Tom Goss. And I think it's fun to dive into the videos. They're also really fun. So yeah, Tom Goss Music. That's it. I keep it real simple.
Awesome.
Wonderful. Johnny Bear, you always have the final word, so I'll leave it to you.
Yeah, first of all, appreciate you showing up for, talking with us today. I know our audience really values the work you do. And personally, as I mentioned earlier, as a multi-level trauma survivor, your music has spoken to me in different areas of my life. And I just encourage you to keep doing what you're doing and showing up daily with an open heart and an open mind and follow your joy and just keep spreading it because you're so good at it.
Thank
And
you.
uh, we value you. So thank you.
Thank you. I promise.
Cool.
Fabulous. Well, thanks again, Tom. I'm sure we'll catch up with you again on the podcast and
Yeah.
definitely we'll hang out in
Thank
real
you.
life too.
Thank you guys so much for having me. I've had so much fun. Thank you so much.
Awesome.
Fantastic.
Peace out.